Hey everyone, this is Kenny Coins from Marathon Money Make Every Second Count. We're here with Natalie Boyette from CEO, founder of Bevee. And she wrote a book as well, Pivot and Persevere. I reached out to her on LinkedIn, like you guys here have heard before. She gladly said yes. And I was looking over the stuff that she has accomplished in the last 8 years, and it's been pretty amazing. From having her own job to starting her own company to hitting rock bottom, and to I think if I'm reading today's day, we organic been seen over 20 million customers on Amazon and U.S., Mexico, and Brazil and Canada.
Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Yes, it seems like you're doing really, really well. Inspiration is Sarah Blake.
Yes, she is my hero.
Yeah. So tell me where all this started from.
So I think the reality is I've been a creator my whole life, and being a single mom, that doesn't always pay bills. So I took a job in the pharmaceutical sales industry in 2015. And I'd say that 2 months on the job, a 10 drink order from Starbucks completely changed my life. I'd never delivered that many drinks. And that's a very common practice in that industry, is to do lunches for your offices or bring them a treat, whether it be like coffees or smoothie or whatnots. And all I could think is, how am I going to get these two cardboard drink carriers in my car and out of my car and into my office without a massive mess? And so I clearly saw in my head what I needed, and thought it would be something simple as going home and ordering what I envisioned as a better solution. And quite frankly, there just wasn't anything. In fact, back then, the only drink carriers I could find were the big Gatorade ones that you see, ran out to the football fields. So I just started this journey of creating what I saw in my head, and contacted an attorney, and he reached back out a couple months later and said, "I think you found a needle in the haystack, let's go get this patent." And so, I started this whole process of creating something that had never existed before. This is not what they say, a better mousetrap. It was, how do I create something that looks really high end, but also, performs to perfection? And so it took a lot of years while I sweat equity it and bootstrapped it myself, for the next 5 years. And, I went down so many dirt roads and dead ends, and would have done would have been a failed Kickstarter campaign, because come to find out, my customers are not, in fact, um, on Kickstarter, those types of campaigns. And so I finally decided in 2020, during the pandemic, that I couldn't do corporate America any longer. I wasn't living my best life. I knew I was meant to be an entrepreneur, and so I made the leap. I built my team. I took in some investment dollars. I will say that I do not recommend quitting your job until you are 100% ready. I quit mine about 2 years too early, and that's really frightening as a single mom, because quite frankly, that means you're living off of your business. And I had no product to sell, which led to the rock bottom moment. And that was this time last year, we launched with our original product, which is our 12 cup drink carrier. And it was a slow trickle, and it really gave me a lot of sleepless nights, because I was beginning to wonder, I'd been told all these past 7, 8 years that, this thing was going to explode. And that wasn't happening. And so, one night in the middle of the night, just last summer, just praying for something to change or to get me out of this situation, I had the epiphany that I was actually supposed to write that granular guidebook. I'd spent the last 8 years figuring out this process and making mistakes and wasting time and wasting money. And I thought, if I can put all of that knowledge into a book and really break down my costs and my hindsights, I can help other people, and hopefully save them time and money, but also have the courage to really, scale that entrepreneurial mountain. The book is entitled Pivot and Persevere. The subtitle is Product Creation from Dollar One. I like to say, as entrepreneurs, we love to brag, but, I wanted to not brag. I didn't want to brag about scaling to 10, 20, 100 million. I wanted to really help those that are behind me be able to go live their best life. And so the week after I started writing the book. I did in fact get an email from Amazon corporate, and I thought it was a joke. I researched it like I was going on a blind date. I was Google earthing the address and everything, and it was actually, yeah, it was from corporate in Seattle, and so they had identified my product, and evidently, drink carrier is falls into one of their highest keyword searches. And when I say highest, I mean 0.1% highest. And so we worked with corporate for 5 months. We launched the week before Thanksgiving. Within 3 weeks, an Amazon influencer, a macro, had found the product, bought it, did a reel. It hit 1 million views within 4 days. And since then, it's just been one influencer after another, doing reels, mostly on Instagram. But yeah, we've already surpassed 20 million views. And so through all that, I knew that there needed to be a smaller one. And so we already started designing a 6 cup. And two major key takeaways and feedback that we got from the 12 was that we needed a smaller one, and we actually needed one that would hold every single drink size. I had started this journey so long ago that I would use Starbucks as my sample cup sizes. And since then, we've had Yetis and Stanleys and 32-ounce cups everywhere. And so, um, that's one change that we made. We now will be the only one on the market that will actually hold everything from the slim can all the way up to a 32 ounce. And so we just launched the book 3 weeks ago. It is on Amazon, and the Audible will be available like within the week. And we are going to plan on having the 6 cup here in time for the holidays. They're making them as we speak. So, and I've got a variety of media outlets, including a big national A-list media. They've got 32 million followers. They're going to be featuring us in their gift guide this year. So it's amazing how how it's gone from this massive. I say I'm like an iceberg. They say underneath the water there's this massive piece, and I feel like finally my iceberg is it's breaking the surface of the water. So.
And you said so much. You said so much there that I'm probably gonna
We can
come
break
at.
it down.
Yeah, we're gonna break it down. Yeah, I'm probably gonna come at you with a lot.
Okay, I'm ready.
Um, so I know about like products and business and like and what it takes to actually get things going. Um, the surprising factor is like you probably stumbled on something that you didn't really know that it was really popular amongst a lot of people. That was something I figured out back in like 2018. That drink carriers were something that people bought 4 or 5 times a year. That individuals bought quite often. Um, and it's very unique product that um, that people don't realize. And I think um, people love them definitely if they have a certain attachment to them. It's one of those products for some reason everybody has attachment to it because I mean you got Yeti cups, you have like so many different water bottles, so many different coffee cups, and everybody has their attachment to their cups. And then definitely in this world of coffee and teas and bubble teas, and you got corporate America that is all full of that. Um, that also creates a secondary avenue for your space, and it
Yeah,
does create
100%. Yeah.
does
The
create a billion dollar industry.
Yes, I
Um,
mean, in fact, our probably most popular reel was an over 8 million viewed reel, over 150,000 likes, over 100,000 shares. It was a mom video, and she did it struggling to go into, I believe it was a Starbucks to get drinks for the kids, and then bringing it back to the car, and where do you put it? And so one of the things I did was I researched how Stanley relaunched their cup, and they had to change the bottom of the cup to fit cup holders. Opposite problem of mine. But they wanted it to be an extension of a woman's hand, and so that's why you see so many colors, and it'll go with this outfit and that outfit, and it became more of like an accessory piece for the woman. And so that's why we were really diligent and mindful about the colors that we picked, and it's that same model that we're following. And to your point, when we first launched, I was trying to sell a product that no one knew they needed and no one knew existed. And so, we had that challenge of trying to figure out how do we let the world know about a product that they've never laid eyes on. And so, what's cool is because I have all these varied avenues of which I want to sell it, the hospitality industry, it can be branded for corporate gifting. It can be made in collegiate colors for tailgating. I mean, it keeps going on and on and on. Casinos, resorts. It's a cool product that I'm excited to see how it starts blossoming and also how it does in other countries. Europe is very mindful about single-use products, and the world is starting to get away from those single-use products. And so, it's going to be really interestingly fun to see how the world starts reacting to it.
I think it would do great.
Yeah.
I think you have a unique product. I think you have a product that at some point everybody's going to buy. It's like I see your product as a storage unit. At some point, everybody's going to need a storage unit.
Well,
At
that's,
some
when you're right. And it's what's really cool is over these last 8 years, there have been other drinkware products that have come into my brain. That's how my brain works. And so, we have 6 more products planned, and they're all incredibly unique. And I found out from talking to a lot of the casinos, they would love to have a shot glass bevy holder. It makes sense to build a full size cooler with a bevy built into the top. I mean, so there's a lot of like really fun, cool stuff that is going to come, that bevy is going to get to experience in the future. And I'm so excited to finally be here where I feel like I'm not trying to see if I'm going to be one of the few that make it. Like, I feel like, okay, now we're making it.
Yeah. When you get to that research and development stage and you have a product that's already out, it's a lot more fun.
Yeah. Yes,
That research and
exactly.
development stage, you're making money, you're doing well. Um, Now you're on the second, third, fourth product. People are giving you ideas now
Hmm.
because you have success. You have something that is showing that, look, I have a product out there. People are buying it. Amazon's into it. I'm getting influencers. And I think that makes a huge difference on the creative mind of
Oh,
how you can
absolutely. Yeah.
expand.
Because once
Um,
you get past that mountain of just trying to see if you're going to survive, that takes up so much of your creative juice because you're constantly just trying to not let the ship sink, right? And so when you can get to a point where if you're trying to do fundraising because you're trying to scale, that's one thing. If you're trying to do fundraising because you're trying to keep the lights on, it's an incredibly energy zapper. And so, but we all go through it, right? Every single one. And that's really that was the sweet spot why I wrote the book. Was I wanted people because that's where most people fail, right? Is that's when they stop, is they get so close, but they just run out of hustle and run out of pivoting and persevering. I mean, that's the sweet spot that I wanted to write this book for. Those are the people that I want, because it's entrepreneurship is not easy, but it's
yeah.
doable.
And no, it's definitely not easy. And I always tell people this. I think what made me and I had to learn this a few years ago. This is telling a little bit by myself. Um, a few years ago, I was actually in a really, really good place where I actually didn't need a job and was gonna move somewhere else. A guy offered me a job. I feel like I did well at that company because when I didn't need it, my creative mind and how I act and how I flowed was out of a place of not out of a not out of a place of need and desperation. It was out of a
Hmm.
place that's like, you know what, I'm here. I might as well do my best because now I'm on my time because I don't need to be here now. Now I'm on my time. And I think entrepreneurship is like that. And in the beginning, you're like, I have to make money. I got bills to pay. So people can feel the desperation on you. But when you're at a place where you know what, I'm making it, I'm doing well. I don't need every sale now. I would appreciate every sale, but I don't need it. I don't have to sell myself now. My work does
Yeah.
it for me. And that makes you will notice you get a lot more when you're in that environment, and a lot more great, good things happen to you than when you're in an environment of like struggling, desperate need. And I think
Right.
that's a mindset too.
It is, and it's you know, especially being a minority entrepreneur in a space that is very predominant with, you know, I mean, I hate to say it, but older white guys who don't get my products and don't get my vision and don't do, so I've spent so many years of just like, you know, dealing with that, that now it's so great to be past all that and can just see what's in my heart, what's in my soul, what my intuition is telling me to do. And so that's it's so wonderful to have just continued to work so hard to move past all of that. It's a great place to be at for sure.
So I know this question, I just thought of it. It's probably going to go into your book a little bit, but entrepreneurship is often as much about self discovery as it is about building a business. How do you evolve as a person through your journey, and where there any pivotal moments where you had to redefine what success and failure meant to you?
So I do say in the book that, you know, I think that your setbacks are always your setups. And it may not be something that happens right in that moment, but it may come back to serve you well. And I'll give a great example of this. When I was going to do and this is not in the book, when I was going to do a Kickstarter campaign, because I thought that's what everyone did. I thought that's how you get money for your product based company. And so I didn't know how to research it. I did as much as I could, and I took some courses and I tried to learn and, um, you know, hired a firm to start building this funnel, if you will, which is what these campaigns are. And you kind of build up your email list before you actually launch on that date. And for those of you who are curious, there's a whole chapter on it in the book. But so we started running some preliminary ads before the the actual product was ready, quite frankly. For a long time, we had dealt with this foam interior as what would hold the drinks, and it looked terrible. In fact, the ads turned out pretty terrible, but they were running some ads anyway, and you know that was the first time that anyone had really seen the product outside of my little small circle, and so. You know, there were a lot of great comments, but there were a lot of bad comments. And one in particular, Michael, felt the need to comment that it was a piece of plastic and it was junk and that I thought I had recreated the wheel or created the wheel, but his grandmother had had a drink carrier set back in the 1950s that was class. Well, then Michael felt the need to go find a picture of it and actually post the picture on the ad as well. And so, you know, initially, I mean, I was really hurt because he was just it was so nasty, just to feel the just nastiness, negativity coming out of him. And but my initial second thought was, wow, that is a great looking drink carrier. It was metal and it had glass, like glassware, 8 glasses, and it was very pretty etched. And I liked it so much. A month later, I found it on Etsy and I bought it, and it has been sitting in my den for this was 2021. So fast forward, you know, and you know, I think with entrepreneurship, you have to have a why. Like, what is your why? Because that why is what's going to keep you from quitting. And I have a really great foundation that I want to start. It's going to help so many kids um, grow into being completely wonderful, thriving adults. And I'm excited about it. It comes from the space that I sold in. And as I was talking it over with my mom, I had a light bulb moment. This was just 6 months ago, and it was, why don't I recreate that that piece from the 1950s, put it in some limited edition colors, take the proceeds from it to start the foundation. And so, you know, that was what 3 years ago, and it came full circle for me now that I'm wanting and moving towards, you know, really doing some of the good that I want to give back. And so, you know, I think that with everything on hitting rock bottom was awful. Like, I don't even wanna think about how awful it was, but now, if I hit it again, it wouldn't be so bad. I knew the minute I hit it, I survived it and I started climbing up, right? And so, you know, I think you have to sometimes go to those really scary places in order for you to handle the real big stuff, right? And, not everyone starts a brand, but you have to be able to wear all these different hats in the beginning, but those help teach you the types of people that you want to have on your team because as you grow, you can't do everything, right? You are the creative behind the brand, and that's where your lane needs to stay. And so, I think it's really important to have these experiences you know, and also help others, right? So that they can also not make mistakes. I mean, it's just that's the entrepreneurial spirit, right? I was once told that we all start on the mountain, we all fall off. Those that want to be entrepreneurs get back on the mountain and climb. They may fall again, but maybe not as far because they've learned something. And the first thing an entrepreneur does when they make it to the top of that mountain is they turn around to see who else they can give a hand to. And it's so true. You can see it happen all the time in everyday life. So, um, but yeah, it's I'm definitely not the same person I was 8 years ago. That's for sure.
No, you're not. I don't think you ever could be with this journey. And I want to go back to like that person, Michael, in the comments. Your haters are going to teach you more than what your circle is going to teach you because they're going to find the thing that's going to show you that, yo, no, this product is better. And they're going to find it. They're going to critique it. They're going to make you feel bad. And either you can suck into the part where they're criticizing you and you can feel worse, or you can maybe take what they say, remove all the bad stuff, and then actually look at the product they're promoting and why they like it. And it seems like you did that.
That's exactly what I did. And in fact, when we were on Amazon, uh, because I didn't know what I was doing and I kind of took a haircut on my pricing, my product ended up being a little more expensive than I wanted it to be. And so one of the things I did in creating the 6 cup was I read every single product review on Amazon of every single competitor. And I learned what they were saying. And you're right, it was the negative comments that helped me identify what did I need to then take and go do to my product to overcome that issue, and one of the biggest comments consistently was that it won't hold the drink securely. It's too big. It holds all drink sizes, but it's so big if it spills or shakes or rocks, the drinks are going flying. And so I was very methodical about how was I going to change the interior to not only hold all the drink sizes but hold them securely. And so I completely agree with you. You have to take those negatives and I even looked at the pricing for the 6 cup and said, okay, what's the highest one on Amazon? I want to be just a little bit higher because I'm a premium drinkware brand, right? And so, there's so much that you can learn from, your competitors, from your consumers, from other consumers that buy similar products. It really is. It's a free resource too. Just a little bit of time.
You learn so much quicker when you've spent the money, and then a lot of people don't like it. You
Yeah.
figure out really quick
Yep.
how to make your product greater,
Yeah.
really fast. And that's why I usually say that the negative comments that are just negative, those are just people that they don't like themselves. That's what I like to think. But the
Right.
people that come with the
Yes.
negative comments that actually have A, B, C, and D reasons, and they're just saying it in a nasty way, you just got to remove the nasty tone. And most of the time, they actually have something real to say that can help
Mhm.
your business. Um, so, but
Yeah.
besides
I
that, how do you maintain like emotional intelligence during highs and lows of leadership? Because you're in a product-based business.
Yeah, so I'm very spiritual, and so meditating is very a big part of my daily practice. So I keep a gratitude journal. I work-life balance can be incredibly challenging when you're an entrepreneur, especially in this startup world. And so I have a daily hot yoga or hot Pilates practice, that type of intensity forces you to step away from everything else outside of your mat and your breathing. And it just, those things help keep me centered and then help me also, um, learn to balance out the highs and lows. I say that it's okay if you're having a low. It's okay to go and wallow and stay in bed, drink too much, eat bad food, don't exercise, whatever for a day, and then you're going to shake it off. And the quickest way that I found to kind of turn around a low is just do something, anything, connect with 5 people on LinkedIn that you maybe want to have a connection with or have a question for. I mean, it's, one good email, one good phone call, one good compliment can change all of that, and so it's often having to calm that fear, but also start living from a life of gratitude and expecting surprises. That's been one of my most favorite activities to really incorporate into my life is I can have a freak out moment over whatever, but then I go back to that place of, okay, let's think about what great things have happened. Let's start getting excited about the surprises. Let's look forward to the things you never saw coming. And it has proven to be true time and time and time again. If you told me that Amazon corporate would have come to me, if you told me it have over 20 million views organically on social media, I could have never, even a million years, even conjured that up in my head. So I think there's a level of which you kind of take your licks, so you kind of get to the point where they don't bother you as much. And
Take your
so I think,
licks. You kind of want to take your licks so you can get moving forward.
yes, that's right. That's right.
And
Yeah.
like that brings me to like a question, like how's your relationship with fear has changed since starting your business?
Oh gosh. So you know how presidents seem to age when after they've had their 4-year term? That's kind of how I've been in the beginnings. It was so fearful of when you know in your heart of hearts what you're supposed to be doing with your life, and it's so clear, but yet the things just don't seem to be playing out the way that you think they are. Um, and being a single mom, I responsible for my daughter. She was 7 when I started this journey. She's 16 now, and so she's had to see all of my lows and my fears, and we've been a major support system to one another for sure. But she, it's terrifying. It is. It was a different levels of fear and different reasons for the fear. The fear of, do I have to go back to corporate America? Do I have to go get a job? Was this a joke? Am I the only one that manifesting doesn't work for? I mean, it was so fearful of just trying to not know exactly how this was all going to play out. But as time started passing and as things did start clicking and as things did start making sense, it started to lessen my fear, but it also started teaching me how to now, when I do have a fearful moment, it's really more, I know it's in my head. It's my ego that's talking to me. It's not what the reality of my situation is. And so that's taken time to exercise that part of my brain. It's no different than having a problem solution brain. Talk about in my book how to create that type of a brain. My father taught me how to have one. And so, anything that you put into practice, it becomes, part of your daily habit. And so I don't have the types of fears. But in the early days, it was middle of the night sweats and near panic attacks and then to make matters worse, when you take in other people's money and you can't quit, that's a whole nother level of fear. So
Once you take other people's money as investment, man, quitting
yeah,
becomes a no go.
it becomes a
Like
very much no go.
yeah, it becomes a really once you put that check in your bank account, it becomes okay, I can't quit now.
No.
Like
Yeah.
you can't quit, can't go back. You have no options but to
Yes.
move forward.
Right.
Um, but I just wanted to say is that you know after a while, it just becomes fear becomes a like almost like a tenth thing. It becomes like a once you get to the point where your business is big enough, it's like research and development comes in. Hey, I have this great idea. Let's do this. And it's like, we never done that before. Give it a try. See what happens.
I love it. Yes.
You
I love
know
it.
what I
I
mean?
know.
It's like we made
Yeah.
it this far. We got here, and I feel like I met a guy a long time ago that I used to do consulting for. He was wealthy at this point. He's been in this business for 40 years, and there's these group of people in the business that was accepted. They wanted to buy something for $2 million. Um, and he goes, "Hey, try it, buy it, see if it works."
Yeah.
And I was like, "It's like you're not worried about like if this doesn't work out, it's like $2 million." And you said it. You get to a point in your career where you know the ins and outs and you know all the benefits, and then when you do fail, you actually know what to do with the failures.
Yeah.
You get to a point where you're so good, like the failures actually become more opportunities.
Yeah.
And
I agree with that.
once you start seeing it that way, like you fail, it actually leads you to something else. And the truth is, it actually led him to selling his company for 275 million.
Okay.
That $2
That
million
works.
dollars. And it's like, because at first it looked like a complete failure. It looked like a complete, like, well, he lost $2 million, but like it ends up being 5 years later. You know what I
Right.
mean? He would have scratched it after the first 2 years. He would have been done. He would just lost $2 million, missed out on the opportunity.
Yeah. I
And
had a friend of mine once told me, in business, in a product-based business, especially, not every product's going to be a home run. It just needs to be good enough to get you to the next one. And, and at some point you keep doing that, then you will have that home run, right? Because you do get better and you do refine. And, I'm very grateful that, this 12 cup is what we started with, because through launching it, we've realized that our home run is the 6 cup. It's not the 12. The 12 will do good and it'll do fine, especially when I change the interior to match the 6. But it's a constant. Being an entrepreneur is like, it's just you're just constantly playing the game, and it's going to show up in a different form, different fashion. I've got a beauty app. I don't know why no one's created. I mean, that's probably like, once I get acquired, by like Yeti, I'll go on and create that, right? And so that's kind of the fun part of being an entrepreneur, is you grow, and you just, something doesn't work, you pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and on to the next thing, right? So
that's really what it's all about. Um, and you know why you say like you're looking for that home run, and then say you say that 6 cup is the home run, you're gonna create another product. So you know what, the 6 foot cup was great, but no, this is
I know, right?
and you're like, I know on the 6 cup I made $20 million, even though no, this is a home run, and they just keep going.
I like
It's a
that.
game.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a whole game, and there's always ways to get better. There's always ways to get bigger, and there's always ways to like outshine yourself. The competition is never really outside; it's really inside. Your goal is to
I
get better
I would
every day.
100% agree with you on that. And that's one thing I've never been terribly concerned about is, of course, this being such a unique products, and everyone worried. Am I worried about the knockoffs and the competition? And I to be honest, I'm not. I'm focused on me, my journey, my goals, my products that I want to create. Like, I know what path I'm on. And so, for me, that's, I've got to show up and be the best version of myself, and while I'm doing that, make sure that I'm serving others. That's my big purpose for being here. And so, I could not agree with you more.
One last question: what is the valuation you would like to see for Bevee? What is the number valuation you would like to see?
Um, so if you look at the premium drinkware space, with the exception of Yeti, they are kind of the golden magic platinum unicorn. The Corksicles, the Brewmates. I won't include Stanley because they've got such a non-drinkware brand or space, but the Brewmates, the Corksicles, the Swells, they all land somewhere in that $100 million mark. And I think, based on the number of products that I have and the space in which I can sell them into, I think we can hit that number. I watched Brewmate in 2 years grow to just under 20 million. And one of the things that makes them so successful is they set themselves up on every 6-month product launch. They have their system in place. They've got their design team, their manufacturing partners, their the logistics and warehousing figured out. And so that's one thing we spent the last year doing, was really getting those systems and processes into place so that when we're ready to start rolling out these products, I don't know if they'll be on a 6-month cycle, because they've never been created before, not one of them. So I think the design part may take a little bit more time, but I could see us going on an every 8-month cycle where we're creating something new, and then we're just building onto those products, different colors, or maybe we do go get the licensing agreements to be able to put collegiate and professional sport logos on it. That's one thing that makes Bevee so unique, is that branding capability. And that industry alone is a almost $30 billion industry. So I
There
think
is.
we can get there.
I think you definitely get there. You would fit right in. I don't think there is a doubt in my bone. I played
Thank you.
collegiate sports, and I'm telling you, you will fit right in. You'll be like you should have been there all along.
Well,
Last question.
I live in the South, so our SEC schools, they love anything that has a logo on it.
I'm from the South. I'm from Miami, so I understand.
Yeah.
So, one last thing before we get off. What do you want people to get from your book, Pivot and Persevere?
I want anyone that's not living their best life, but they don't know what else to do. I am very specific in how to start formulating that list of options of how you can change your life. I hope that for anyone that is sitting on an idea that doesn't want to get off the couch and take that scary first step because the mountain seems too high or too confusing, and I always say that the most dangerous word for anyone that's got an idea or is an entrepreneur or wants to have an idea is the word how. And sure, you need to have an idea of how you're going to do something in the broad sense, but the minute that someone typically has an idea or wants to, they start saying, how am I going to make this happen? How am I going to quit my job? How am I going to get the money? How am I going to? And then that version of how is fear's best friend. And when you start dabbling with that version of how, typically you do nothing. And so my point in the book, my reason for breaking down my costs, my reasons for giving all these wonderful hindsights is for somebody to read it and go, okay, I understand the very basics of how you go from start to finish. And now I have the encouragement to do it as well. I say I didn't have a rich ex-husband or a trust fund. I literally started this from $1. And that's who I hope to inspire and encourage. And I think it's an incredible book for even the entrepreneurship programs at colleges and universities. These kids are just starting out, and this breaks it down so granularly, but in a really positive way in which my storytelling is natural. And so I think that people will find it incredibly inspiring and but also informational. It's the book you want to buy and highlight.
Definitely. I just want to say thank you so much, Natalie, for coming on my show. I really appreciate it. I love the conversation. I love
Thank
what
you,
you're
Kenny.
doing. I think
Thank
you're
you.
definitely gonna be worth 100 million plus. I have no doubt in my mind. I think you have a unique product. I just want to say thank you for everybody who's watching and also listening. Please check out Bevee. Please check out Pivot and Persevere by Natalie. And hey, have a good week.